So can I start talking? I've got a story to tell. We're going to hear my story.
Yep.
When I was a kid, the big joke in our household was when Mum made shepherd's pie, she'd joke about like, oh, I went out and got some shepherds, which is a good joke. Yeah, it's a Mum joke. And it's a classic. It's this kind of joke that never goes out of style. We're not making shepherd's pie today though. We're making cowboy candy. Went out and got some cowboys. There are no cowboys in this candy, obviously. It's candied jalapenos. It's something that I came across recently. I'd never made it before. I'd never really heard of them before. And I guess being in Australia and New Zealand, jalapenos aren't really a common thing here until recently, are they? Were they a thing when you were growing up?
Only on like pizza and stuff.
Yeah. But I saw this recipe and I was like, oh yeah, sounds interesting. How good can it be? And then I made it, made a variation, and it was amazing. So I've tweaked my variation and we're going to share it with you for some cowboy candy. If you're sensitive to chili, wear gloves for this, and you can take out the seeds. You can take that bit out there if you want, if it's going to be too spicy. I just leave it all in. The more the merrier, as I always say.
Is that going to be your catchphrase?
The more the merrier?
Yeah.
I think I just invented it. Jalapenos, I don't love. They get a bit, that green flavour, the chlorophyll flavour gets a bit much, I think, for me sometimes. I've seen these listed as a dessert ingredients because they do come across quite sweet, sweet and spicy. So you could do them, put them on ice cream, use them, people do like candied bacon. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Don't put this on camera. It's gone. You know how people do candied bacon and put it on like ice cream or cocktails and stuff? You could use this the same way. So like usual, the ingredients will be underneath this video. But we're going to get a cup of sugar. Any sugar's fine for this. I use raw sugar just because that's what I buy for some reason. You could use caster sugar. Caster sugar, I think caster sugar kind of cooks quicker. It kind of, dissolves quicker. Raw sugar I think has a better flavour, and it kind of, you can see this is another cowboy candy I've made. It makes it a little bit darker in here, so it's not as nice to look at, I don't think. You could use brown sugar and that would kind of make it more caramelised and probably a bit richer, but it would make it darker still. I'm going to go a cup of apple cider vinegar. I found this apple cider vinegar, it's just Cloves brand at Coles, but it's got a mother in it. Nice. So if I can retrieve enough, I'm going to try and make my own apple cider vinegar with the mother that's left over. Oh, we only want half a cup of that. We've got a bit more than half a cup. That's cool, we can reduce it down. So I'm going to turn that up to boil, and while it comes to the boil, I'm going to add ground cloves. I really like ground cloves. They're, I don't know, they've got a really rich flavour, and it's really good in spicy food, used in like Caribbean food a lot, and I think some South American food. So yeah, it's a really tasty little addition to things like this. About 3/4 of a teaspoon of that, and we'll get some ground turmeric. Turmeric's really good for you. Yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. So basically we're going to make almost like a candied syrup, and we're going to stick these babies in them to cook. So you can see that colour is the same colour as the syrup, the jar that I just showed you. And that's probably because there is cumin and turmeric in it. You could make this look a lot prettier, but I don't know, you're making candied jalapenos. Do they have to be pretty? So at this point you can see it's kind of starting to create almost a candy syrup. It'll start to thicken. You really want to get it nice and thick. So keep an eye on it. You don't want to burn this. But get it to a point where it's syrupy and everything's dissolved and it looks delicious. Not quite there yet. You can kind of push these things pretty far to like a really thick syrup, but yeah, just be wary that if you burn everything, you're gonna have to start again. So after about 3 or 4 minutes of kind of stirring and reducing it, you can see it's kind of a thicker syrup. We could probably go thicker if we wanted, but I think this is about a good consistency. You kind of see it sticking around to the pan and dripping off and looking nice and yummy. So pretty much all we need to do is add our jalapenos into here. You want to give them a nice coating. I'm going to pop them back on the heat because they're quite thick and bunched up. I probably could have done this in a frying pan. We're going to do about 4 minutes just back on a simmer until everything kind of starts looking, you don't want to cook them, you just kind of want to get them, I don't know, warmed through, heated through, and all the flavours to get into the jalapeno. Maybe give them a stir after about 2 minutes, but yeah, 4 minutes in this little delicious little candy that we've got is all it's going to need. Now this is a two-parter because when you make cowboy candy, you're probably going to be left with a lot of syrup left in the pot. And even if you're not, you can deglaze the pot because there's going to be some stuck to it. So what we can do with that leftover is make a sneaky cocktail. Because if you're in the kitchen and you've got leftover ingredients and you've got bourbon, you may as well make a cocktail with it. Have you tried Buffalo Trace before, Salty?
No.
Buffalo Trace is great. The same distillery that a lot of the other sort of big name, more expensive bourbons come out of. But as a kind of a bourbon to keep in your cupboard to make cocktails, just as a sipper, it's a winner, and it's so much cheaper than everything else. I'd probably drink it over a lot of expensive scotches, and I think it's been voted best whiskey in the world before by like the Whiskey Magazine or the whiskey writer. What's his name? Jim McEwen? I don't have a name for this cocktail yet.
Ooh.
Cowboy something. I just keep rubbing alcohol, antiseptic alcohol, on hand, just if I'm rinsing out jars. It doesn't hurt to give it a bit of a, disinfect, and just rinse it away. You can kind of see they've changed colour, looking pretty, the turmeric colour's gone into them, all coated in the delicious syrup. We're going to pop this into a jar, and that syrup's kind of going to keep, I guess, candying the jalapenos. You can eat this straight away. It's not a fermentation it's not even really pickling. It's just literally, preserving by candying, and just pop it in the fridge. I kind of leave them out for a couple of days as well, just to, I guess, get that flavour, that room temperature. I don't know, I feel like it brings things together, and then just pop them in the fridge and they'll keep forever. All right. Cowboy Candy. Ooh. I'm going to turn that into a cocktail. It's really simple. Bourbon, bitters, a little bit of the candy jalapeno syrup, and squeeze a lime, a little bit of dash of soda. These are fancy ice balls from Kmart for $1. If you're adding bitters to a cocktail, by the way, add it in with the ice and give it a swish around. That kind of helps it coat the glass. Get that delicious bitters flavour in there. 50 mils of bourbon, 50 to 60 mils. I've still got some seeds in here, but we'll do a tablespoon, just under a tablespoon of the syrup. Squeeze the lime. A little dash of soda. And you want to garnish it with one of the babies that you've already made. Oh, I was hoping it would land right on the thing there and balance. It's really yummy. Spicy. Make this. Thanks, everyone.
Socials.
Oh yeah, do socials.
Nah, here, I'm pointing.
Oh, there?